I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
What's up, and welcome to the Sword Art Online Alicization War of Underworld After Show. We're talking episode 8, Blood and Life. My name is Carrie Lane, and I'm joined again by Alex Von David. Yay, welcome.
Thanks for having me back.
Well, welcome back.
That's the emergency guest.
Yes, we had a couple other people, but unfortunately they could not make it. But you know what? That happens. But I love hearing the perspective of the person not in the booth, per se, a different booth, and directing the voice actors. So we'll get more into some of those behind the scenes. And then, I don't know, then you can dish on them as they've dished on you throughout the after show season. Maybe a little bit. We do have a live chat going, so welcome everybody who is joining us live. If you're watching it later, please comment down below your thoughts on the episode. And yeah, let's get started. So at the beginning, we have Alice post that epic damage. I did talk to you a little bit. I was like, wait, why doesn't she just like destroy everybody? She has a dragon. Let's see some damage. The dragon didn't do anything in this moment. So, but she had the best kind of weapon. And you're like, wait, there's something later.
Yeah, in the books they explain that the dragons have finite power, so they always have to eat and rest and all that kind of stuff, so they can't use their fire all the time. So, and they can only fly for a certain amount of distance.
Oh, okay.
So that'll come into play later on if they keep following the books as closely as they're following. So,
interesting.
Yeah. No, but this is all about just showing how special Alice is. And,
Indeed.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, she does. I love that she does so much damage, and Dee is like, how is this possible? I can't even do this kind of damage.
It's a perfect setup, too. It's
yeah.
like, who could have done this? And Alice is up there on her dragon.
Yeah. And of course, what's like the bad thing in a movie where everyone's looking here, and you're like, nobody thinks to look up.
No.
You know, they're not.
She was cloaked. So, yeah, because they had spotters, like, looking all over the place. But, no, Alice was had a little cloak spell activated or something. That
I was going to say, I'm like, I don't remember that, but...
They did not mention it at all in the anime.
Okay.
I believe they mentioned it. I forget what volume it was, but I had that question, too, when I first watched it.
Yeah.
Before reading the books and stuff, and it was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense.
No, that makes way more sense. Because I feel there's some moments in anime where, and, you know, any storytelling, but anime a lot, it's like, don't mind this moment. Don't think about it too much.
Well, it's always funny what they keep and what they discard.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get into trouble with the stuff that they discard. So
this is true.
This show so far has been pretty much throwing everything at the screen that's in the books, mostly. We'll see in the next 12 episodes how much of the books crosses over, because there's some other characters from the outside world that are going to be involved.
Ooh, okay.
And yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
Nice. A couple people in the chat, Arceus Rules, sorry if I say that or any of your names wrong, said this episode was amazing. This was a really good, solid episode.
Glad you liked it.
Oathkeeper says dragons have a serious cooldown. Indeed, apparently, of like can't run out that energy too soon. And then Chandler says most emotional episode yet, in my opinion. I guess it depends on how you feel about certain characters, because there
episode
has been
24 in Alicization when
I was like,
that was pretty tearjerky.
I think it depends on who you care about more.
I guess, yeah.
Everybody has their favorites, so that's true. Natsu says, hi Alex, when you adapted this episode, what were some of the challenges and difficulties? I love that moment between Alice and Eldrie. Eldrie sacrificed himself to protect everyone. It was a beautiful episode.
Oh, glad you liked it. I mean, the challenge in this one was that moment, because as Eldrie's winding down, the mouth flaps were there was like 2 mouth flaps of space, and then another couple of mouth flaps, and then so just trying to figure out how to maintain the integrity of the translation, but making it still the kind of English phrasing that Eldrie speaks, with also this sort of winding down idea, fitting it into 2 flaps and then a space and then a couple more flaps. It was challenging for Ezra, as it would be for any actor. But I let Ezra know he didn't need to edit himself so cleanly and so carefully after every mouth flap. He could just like trail off a bit more, breathe in between the lines, or in between the words in this case. And it didn't really translate well on Toonami. And I think
What
because
part?
of some of the breaths were lost. I think it's because of the compression.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm like, I didn't notice, but so there was a more breath.
That's
Breathiness
like
to it?
all of
Okay.
his words were a little more connected when we were doing our mix and stuff.
Okay.
So it'll come through in the Blu-rays, but unfortunately on Toonami, it just seemed like some sort of compression issue was there, and it was just like cutting off his little breaths in between. So that was kind of like.
Well, we did see on the Sword Art USA Twitter post how that new Blu-ray set that's coming out, which looks really nice.
Yeah, Plex US is releasing the first 24 episodes all together for a change instead of doing volume by volume.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Renji in the live chat says, this episode was lit in so many ways. True. Sharka Frank says, Alex, if you got the chance to voice a character in SAO, what ability would you want to have? So I'll break this down of if you get to voice any character, so who would you want to be and what kind of ability would you want? Because I would think you could want to be a character but like someone else's ability. Or if you like the same, then that's fine too.
I think Bercouli might be kind of fun. And just with his ability.
He has some good
No
attacks, that's for
offense,
sure.
Imari, you're doing great. I'm not saying that you're not. I'm just saying that would be a cool character to play if I was a voice actor, but I'm not. So
cool. I like it.
So it's never going to happen, folks. It's never going to happen, Imari. Don't worry.
The blooper reel?
Oh, God. No, I'm not going to go in there and just do bloopers. No, not for that character. That's like, close to Imari's heart. He's doing such a great job.
Yeah.
It would be sacrilege to go in there and even try it as a joke.
Back to the episode. They're pretty much how powerful. They have a little bit of a retreat. Fanatio and Alice, they kind of have a nice moment of updating each other and everything of like, okay, what's going on? I really love these moments in shows where it's like two characters know something. It's like, hey, here's information, because it's like, oh, good, now everybody knows everything. Because when you're waiting for someone to get that info, you're just sitting there like, but we know. Like, I want them to know.
Everybody needs to catch up.
Eldrie and Alice also get their moment, and he's kind of apologizing of like, I suck, I'm sorry, I'm not as good as you should be. This is extremely paraphrasing. She's like, no, you don't worry, it's okay, like, everybody needs you. It was an interesting collapse of character for him in terms of feeling so defeated, because he had been so, on top of his game. But even earlier, the Stabby sisters, they commented like, oh, these people have not been in a legit battle before. They're not ready for this.
Yeah, this is the first time they've been in a war like this. The knights have gone out and hunted things, but like Eldrie hasn't even really done that. Yeah. So this is kind of a first for everybody. And hopefully that came through with in the English version too, because it's a burden that Alice carries for sure. Yeah. Especially with her decision to unleash those apocalyptic fires. First time was out of duty, and second time was out of revenge. So that was an interesting turn for her.
How was it to direct those kind of scenes of, okay, so, I mean, your regular voice actor has not gone to war, probably.
No, but, Kaylee's been keeping up with the show, so she knows what's going on and stuff. But when she gets into the booth, I just remind her, okay, this is about revenge. This is about, your duty. And so I don't want to destroy her voice or anything. Don't want to hurt her. So, we'll preview the line as many times as she wants to. I don't think we did it like more than twice just for timing's sake. Yeah. And, we got one or two takes of it tops, because she pretty much knows her character by now. Yeah. And, when I say things like, okay, this is for revenge, she knows where to go with it. So, and then we also reference the Japanese before we start anyway. So it's, she's always got that in her pocket.
Yeah. We meet Fruger, the ogre, which...
Fruger, yeah.
Ogre.
Yeah.
Air
werewolf.
Quotes. Yeah, werewolf. Then mentions like, okay, Priestess of Light, I just need to take you back. Just go with me right now. It's all cool. But that's the moment when Alice gets to hear, wait, like, Priestess of Light? Oh, yeah, sure, that's me. I did like that. That was kind of funny that I like that the character has the smarts of like, yeah, no, it's fine. Like, Eldrie, I got this. Like,
yeah.
Hold on. And it was kind of cool to get that introduction and like, oh, okay, it's because Emperor Vecta. Well, Emperor God, they call him both. I feel the title, they've said Emperor, but then they're like, no, it's a god.
So he's also the dark god Vecta.
Yeah, Vecta.
Yeah, so the people only knew about this legend that Vecta was supposed to return to the world at some point. And
How
then the war was
convenient a
supposed
plot
to be
line.
launched. Well,
I mean, within the world of the
it was
of
all
the
leading
game
up for
thing.
the it was all leading up to this. So it was like, okay, here he is.
Game.
So yeah, now they have to refer to him as Emperor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yay and no, because he's very creepy and good villain of sorts.
Yeah, he's pretty twisted.
Which, actually, speaking of that, Gabriel and Dee get their moment of, okay, well, why did this fail? Why did your battle fail? And I like that there's a moment where he says, so what did you plan to get the energy from anyway?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know, really.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when she tells him, he like looks out on the battlefield and says, all right, so why don't you just use them?
Oh, that was... Because
okay.
he doesn't care. They're just ones and zeros to him.
Yeah, all he's after is Alice, and so
Yeah.
he's willing to sacrifice everybody under the guise of we're going to take over the human territory or human realm, and then human empire.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and then you guys can go ahead and loot and plunder.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, and grab basically all the resources there. So.
I liked. Sharka says, I can't get over Greg Chun's seductiveness as Gabriel. He's brilliant. Yeah, he definitely has an interesting dynamic as a character that's like really creepy but like slimy, but still kind of has that almost a charm to it, but is there a way that, okay, when you have a character like that, is that more of your suggestion of how the character should be, or the actor or the script, or a little bit of everything, of like they're a bad guy but they're still like alluring?
Well, I guess it all starts with the Japanese and the translation I'm given and my understanding of the character. With him, he's a bit seductive and a bit detached from everything that's going on in this world. So the stakes for the people of the Underworld are very big, whereas his stakes are not that big. He's as far as Greg goes, I mean, he pretty much keys into what choices to make behind the mic, based on the dialogue and what he hears in the Japanese preview. If anything, the only direction that was pretty consistent with Greg has always been dialing back the evil, the mustache twirling. So,
yes, they did talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean that was the only thing, and so Greg
Armin mentioned that too. You're not that kind of villain.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just and just finding the right sort of pocket to be in and stuff. And Greg's really good about sort of hanging out in there and still being kind of slimy but slightly seductive, as you say.
A little bit. Like it's one of those you're just like. Actually, that's another question. A couple of voice actors in the after shows have mentioned how, like, it's easier to tone it down than build it up. So as a voice acting director, is that something you encounter, and what advice would you give in terms of, it's easier to tell an actor to tone it down than it is like, can you give me more, or does it depend on the situation?
Yeah, it depends on the situation. It depends on the actor. Okay. It depends on their skill level. Really, it's... again, it's just a matter of degrees. It's like how much, if you're a villain, how much of the mustache are you twirling? Are you twirling it really hard? Or just to use that metaphor. It's dialing up, dialing it down. I would say, it's apples and oranges. Who knows?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Who knows? But I'm assuming if an actor says, "Oh, it's easier to dial it back," I would believe that particular actor, that's their process. So
someone had said it was kind of like, if you go too big, then you know where the goalpost is, and it's like, all right, now we know how far we can go instead of like, those levels,
that's a great
increments.
way of putting it. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, just it's if you're an actor with experience acting, you'll always be making choices, and so as long as the actor's making a choice, I don't have a problem. Nobody's going to have a problem. But if the actor's just kind of like waffling and just like talking loud because they hear the Japanese is really loud, then it's like, well, okay, but you got to, Why are you speaking loud? What is there a feeling behind it? What are you concerned about? Are you just trying to get someone's attention across the room, or are you trying to beat someone down with your voice? I mean, acting choices.
Intention. That's very important. Very big keyword, I'd say, for acting. Yeah. What are you trying to accomplish? Yep. Then we get Alice and so another nice moment where everybody together. Alice, Bercouli, and Fanatio like, okay, what is the new plan? And of course, Uncle is gonna go with Alice. Like, nope, you can't go by yourself. And they're gonna take a third of the troops, which I was like, all right, I guess that's a decent number, but he makes a good point of like, you can't just go by yourself and they're gonna all follow you. It's like, no, you gotta get some attention.
Force, exactly. With you. So,
and then she goes, I'm gonna go to the world's altar, which I don't know, world's end altar. At this point, does she know exactly what that is, or more just she heard someone tell Kirito?
No, she's just going by the voice she heard when in administrator's chamber. So she just knows that Kirito was told to go there, so she's going to go there, and maybe it'll help Kirito wake up. That's all she knows.
Yay! I'm one of those like that piece of information that we're all sitting there like, but you don't know what it means, and
it's a long journey too.
Yes. Then she explains Priestess of Light, like, hey, I don't know what this is, but I'm just gonna go with yes. I'm gonna turn myself in, which how wonderfully cliche and noble of they want me. I'll just go by myself. And you're just like, girl, but okay, I'm glad she has backup. She's not going by herself.
Yeah, no, she's got lots of the right kind of background with her. So we'll see how many of them last.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm like, I feel this is gonna be bad. So speaking of being bad, another moment here I really enjoyed is seeing more of the Dark Territory as not just, air quotes, evil people and creatures, because we get to see, unfortunately, like the outcome for a whole bunch of the Orcs. They are at least 3,000 of them, no less, as the command was. Yeah. So we got Lilpilin and Genju.
Lenju. That's his...
It's my font reading. And pretty much like how I'm assuming they're a couple. And the woman's just like, it's cool. I will sacrifice myself for our emperor. It's all good. I'm going to die. I'm like, whoa. Like, couldn't he have said, no, you're staying and like your troops? But
no, it's for the cause. 3,000 had to go, and that was the order. And they are bound by, I guess you could say it's the kind of their programming.
Yeah. So I guess this would be a moment that if one of them goes no, and then they could have the big headache. Yeah.
Which is what happens to
we saw that with
Yeah, he starts like digging into his the side of his head with his nail.
Oh, I didn't quite get what that was, but that makes sense.
He was cursing what was going on, and that automatically was giving him the headache and the eye throb. So.
Because I liked it with the giant when the giant like tripped out.
Mm-hmm. And he started glitching.
Yes, but I would have wanted one character to be like, that's weird.
Yeah, no, it's he's just going in berserk mode, and so it's kind of like, what the hell's going on? So
no, like the visual of it, because we see it, and like I feel that's like not would have been the dialogue edition later. That would have been it filmed and shot of a character going a reaction of somebody. But
I mean that stuff is happening so fast. I don't think anybody has time to react. I mean, he takes out two or three of his own people too.
Question
so it's kind
then. Do you, when you're seeing it and your understanding of it, do you think the other characters were able to see that glitch?
Oh, didn't even care. I'm paying attention to the story. I'm not paying attention to the little things like that.
I want to know. It's like this
I think it's probably digging a little too deep. It's I mean
okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of even at that part and stuff. When he started glitching, it's like, okay, he's going ape shit. And can I say shit?
You have.
He's going ape shit. And at that point, there's really no time for anybody to react because they've never seen anything like that happen before. And Fanatio herself even gets overcome by fear of all things. For the first time, this is actually affecting her. Pretty sure she can see what's going on with him. Based on that.
Actually, call back on that now. I'm glad you mentioned that because we were talking about it a little bit when we covered that episode. When Fanatio is essentially affected by the giant coming at her, and we see the cubes, Is it her, like, programming that is, like, a virus infected by it, essentially? Because how he's...
So what's going on? All the light cubes are connected in what's called the light cube cluster, and so they're all connected. So if say like you're fighting, your soul is in this cube, and you're fighting a soul that's over in this other cube over here, your two cubes are connected. So you'll be affected by whatever. If you guys are in battle and stuff, you will be affecting that other cube's sort of health and vitality and life force.
Okay.
So
yeah, no, that totally makes sense because that's kind of what it seemed to be when it came across, but it was one of those. So the specifics and
yeah, again, it's kind of like in the books they go to great pains. They go well above and beyond the call of duty, explaining the light cube cluster, which the show does not go into very much for obvious reasons because it's just
it would take
it's a
definitely
lot
take too much
like
time.
Characters are not talking about it. It's just the author is talking about it for the most part, and then reiterating it like every 4 chapters or something. Because so it's they set it up definitely in the books. Didn't know if they were pulling it off in the show as well as they could. I got it, but I could see where some people would be lost.
So then it sounds like, yes, you read the books, because previous times other people in the chat have wondered if the actors have read the book, so do you...
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for this I do, yeah. For the last couple of shows that I've worked on, I've been reading the books. I didn't read I wasn't reading Sword Art for Gun Gale Season 2. I read, like, the only book that was out in English for Gun Gale, the sort of the side story that's on Netflix, if you want to see it. Very cute show. And then on this one, most of the volumes had already been printed in English, so I could definitely pick those up and then use those because there were definitely a lot of questions like light cubes and the the philosophy and the science behind all the stuff that people were talking about, and the books really helped me get through that and help sort of influence the lines I would slightly change just to make things more understandable for the audience at home.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I couldn't change a whole episode's dialogue to explain the light cube cluster thing any better.
No, but the fact that you're reading the books does influence what you know about it, which then you could explain to the actors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
That a trickle-down effect that I think would help round out the show, because if you didn't know and they do have that question, you're not going to sit there and say,
Yeah, it helps me do my job better, and it definitely helps me help the actors do their job better, too, I think.
Yep.
So it's time well invested.
For sure.
Yeah.
Then we have, so the orcs, their death, man, it being painful was even just that cherry on top of, okay, like, it'd be one thing if, like, okay, we wiped them out quick, but it was just this blood, guts, and
Gotta be death worms.
just because those were gnarly, nasty things, too. Like, oh, man, like, they seem like flying piranha, essentially.
Yeah,
it's like the movie Piranha when they
eels.
fly.
Oh, yeah. Piranha 2?
Yeah. There's a movie where piranhas fly.
It's horrible.
Yes. It's so bad, it's good. So then they're coming at the Integrity Knights as they're flying, and Eldrie, which, please leave a comment on your thoughts on this, because I, myself, when I was writing my notes, I was like, is this noble of him, or crazy, or stupid, or what, that he goes, it's cool, I will have them follow me so that you don't have to die. I think it's unfortunate. It's one of those, it's sad when a character goes, I have to die to save all of you, but if there's really no other option and they care that much about the other people, sure.
I mean, that was his thing. I mean, after feeling like he was not the knight that he should have been, because of the goblin smoke bombs, and so many goblins got by him and stuff. He needed something to redeem himself in the eyes of Alice and his troops and everybody and himself, and so he does make that decision to try and draw the death worms away. And so I thought, that's very knightly of him. So he definitely redeemed himself in the end, as far as I'm concerned. I think if that was the only way to get everybody out of it, then yeah.
Well, it made a difference. So,
It
like,
definitely
he
did.
did save the day.
Yeah.
So we get his big death in memory of his mother, which was very sweet and touching and sad and all those things rolled together. So he gets a push from something.
Probably, I would, even in the books, it was just a hand.
Okay, but it's not necessarily defined who or what that
It's
was.
probably his mom.
Okay.
Probably. That's what I would think. That's
I
what
like
I told
that,
Ezra.
yeah. Okay.
That his mom was giving him a little push, and he just didn't know it yet.
Aw.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Because, we don't know. I had a moment, I'm like, is it Kirito? I'm like, but that didn't feel quite right. So I like better that someone connected to him and, like, helping him get that last little push and, like, figuratively and literally. And he's destroyed. But I like that he gets that moment to say goodbye with Alice, as you were talking about earlier, of how hard it was to complete that. And so much yelling and screaming. And poor Kaylee of, like, that one, Eldrie! Like, so much.
She
I was
did
like,
that
oh.
in 2 takes. It was
Wow.
awesome.
Oh, that
it was
was a
awesome.
big one.
Yeah, it was great just to keep her in a safety for that one. So yeah, major props to her.
Feel that was a nice, like, the big moment in the episode of the, like, no.
That was the crescendo
and
for
then,
sure. Yeah.
Yes, like the hug, goodbye, and it's like,
yeah.
shed a tear. R.I.P. Eldrie. Yes. Then I do like that that's like a switch for Alice. She's like, burn them all. It's like, yes.
And now your dragon power comes out.
Yes. Now I was like, at that moment of everybody, we need to destroy everything. And then also that she gets her proclamation of like, this is what's going down. You're all going to die. But creepily, at the same time, another moment going on is Gabriel finally gets to see her because he hasn't seen her yet.
Nope.
In that space.
Now he knows who he's after.
And he's like, oh, hey, hey, girl, hey. And that's where it's like, he did just like that. But yeah, him seeing her, I'm just sitting there like, oh no, Alice, like, no, that's...
That's exactly what she wanted.
Yeah.
She wanted to draw their attention.
Yep.
She's got it.
And that's what wraps up in that episode. Any other quick final thoughts on this episode or anything that was interesting in filming it, recording it?
Nothing that I can remember offhand.
All right.
We're kind of chugging along at this point. I think we were doing like 4 episodes at a time.
Okay.
And it was after this that we started doing like recording 2 episodes at a time because the Toonami thing was finalized, and they were like, okay, well, here's the day where we're going to start. And so then it was just a matter of getting the episodes to them in time so they could cut the promos and cut out any nonsense that they didn't like in the show for some reason.
Oh,
I don't think they're edited, but I think they do edit the opening and closings a bit.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and then put all the credits and stuff on it.
I was gonna say I'm trying to watch because I've watched on Crunchyroll and Toonami, so
It's confusing.
yeah.
You're watching too much.
During my thorough research too, so I can watch it and talk about it. So we're getting towards the end of this arc because we're on episode 8. We just 8, so we got 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, 4 more.
This is exciting, and we have many more voice actor guests coming as well. So thank you so much for watching, listening. Thank you again for coming in and talking about
Thanks
the
for
show.
having me.
It's so fun. Is there anything right now that you wanted to plug, mention, or you're working on to let people know?
Right now, in the space between the 2 parts of this batch of sword art, I'm just working on a couple things that haven't been announced yet, just little projects. Something was released a couple weeks ago on Crunchyroll, Konosuba Season 2, the dub. So if you're a fan of Konosuba Season 2, go watch it on Crunchyroll. They got sub and dub for you, so take your pick.
Nice.
Yeah, and so far people seem to be having fun with that, so that's good too.
Good. Then make sure to check out Sword Art USA, which is the official Twitter for Sword Art Online. Where can people find you online?
Just my name, Alex Von David on Twitter, all lowercase.
Nice. And again, make sure to click the thumbs up button and the subscribe so you can be up to date when the next episode comes out. My name is Carrie Lane. You can find me online at Carrie D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. Again, thank you so much for watching, and thank you again for coming in.
No, thanks again for having me.
And we'll see you all next week. See ya.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.